So we are back here with engine number 1 that had the bearing problem. So I've removed that, pulled the cylinder head off. So no head gasket blown or anything like that, so I can probably reuse that steel head gasket and put it all back together. The bores do have some light marks in there, but you can't really see that with my shitty camera. I did pull the pistons down though, and it appears all these whiz-bang ceramic coatings I've had done have all simply rubbed off, and on the top of the piston here they've just flaked off as well, which my worry was that that's all gone through inside the bores and possibly outside the valves out of the cylinder head as well, but until I sort of start pulling the head apart and have a better look, we can't really see too much at the moment. But I noticed too, if I got some Scotch-Brite, so you can see that's quite black still around the top. I got some Scotch-Brite and rubbed up the top of this piston, and you can already see there that it's just about down on bare aluminium already. So the stuff doesn't seem to stick too well. It may have something to do that we got the coatings done on second-hand pistons, but it's sort of too hard to tell at the moment. There was another coating that had just come out as we were getting all these things done. So the top of these pistons were done in the ceramic coating, which is peeled off. And this one piston here, we had the top done in a special coating called turbine coating. That is still in perfect condition, hasn't rubbed off. Yeah, that seems to be working fine, but as for this black stuff on the side, yeah, no good. So after pulling all this down, I've actually decided that, we can probably still salvage this engine. I do have another couple of cranks laying around. So crank rod number 3 has a bit of marks on there, so instead of getting that repaired, I'll just chuck that aside, and I've got another second-hand crank that we can put in there. I'll just have to size up some bearings for that. So the cause of the failure, we're actually looking at possibly an oil pump failure. These bearings aren't going to be able to be reused. So luckily in my stash we have spare cylinder heads, blocks, cranks, oil pumps, pistons, rods, forged parts, cams, nuts, bolts, washers, seals, valve springs, distributors. We have everything we need. Now to get this crank out, we've got to take the harmonic balancer off. Take that off. Timing belt. Oh, crank gear a bit tight. So usually these crank gears can just slide straight off, but this one's being a bit stubborn. Just put the screwdriver under here. Cool, so once that's off, there's a whole heap of bolts for this oil pump. They're landing in my tray, by the way. Oh, let me get old mate trusty screwdriver out again. This would be easier if I had someone filming for me, but one-handed will do. Okay, so oil pump's off. Now, pop this gear out. Okay, there's a whole heap of scratches and shit in there, so something's gone through the oil pump. And I think most of you can work out what it is now, but I'm not going to say. Okay, so I throw it aside. That oil pump is now no good. That's still okay. Alright, so new oil pump. And now I'll get this these main caps off so we can get the crank out. So we need to undo all of these. Just going to time lapse this so it's a bit quicker. Oh. So most of you can probably already work out that these are the main caps that hold the crank in. Now these caps are all numbered, so you can just pretty much whip them off and throw them into a bucket, that's alright. You get number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now just getting one of these main caps off, you can definitely see these bearings are also stuffed as well, so it's going to be easier. Pop those out, new set of bearings, swap that crank over. Yeah, see there's damage in here too. And she will live again. So I've got all those main caps off now. The last thing I need to get to is this part that holds the rear main seal, but the bolts are all the way in here, so I've got to take the engine back off the stand so I can remove those. Alright, so better access there. Pop all these off. Screwdriver again. Cool, now I can bolt this frame back up. They are small and they are light. Pop all these out. So this thing here is the oil relief valve, and what that basically does is just regulates the engine oil pressure. So it's a good idea, we've got to pull that down and just clean it out, make sure there's no shit or anything stuck in there from the bearing and pump failure from last time. So, and also while we've got this apart now, I'm going to take it outside and give it a bit of a hone and a wash just to bring the bores up again. So the brand of engine bearings I've actually decided to go with is called dyno, and what that means is recycled beer can in Chinese. They are going to do the trick. So this here's the honing stones. So that goes inside there. Lots of CRC. I'm going to go up and down. So just by giving it that little rub with the honing stones, you can't see any cross hatching. So I've just given that a wipe out, and you can already tell the difference. So that's 3 down, 1 to go. So you want to get one of these dishwashing cloths. Don't use your mum's one because she'll kill you, use an old one. Some degreaser. Now this pad, just give inside of the bores. A good swap. Degreaser. Some more degreaser. Unlike the other video, I'm not going to be able to start it within a couple of hours, so I need to make sure that all this water's out of here so we don't get any rust on anything. Especially on these bores where these rings are going to be trying to seal on, so... But it is looking good. So I pulled this oil pressure relief valve off, and lucky I did, because inside it there was a little piece of bearing material which could have caused some dramas when we put the engine back together. So I pulled this apart, cleaned it, got a little piston here that goes back in that way, followed by a spring, followed by this little top cap, followed by this circlip, which is going to be a pain in the ass to do. So you want to just make sure that this clips in properly so it doesn't fly out, because if that was to come out you'll lose all your oil pressure straight away. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Even push on this just to... So what happens is, when you have oil pressure coming inside here, you'll push that in, the valve opens there and the oil pressure will come out. So that's what regulates the oiling system. Got the copper washer, it looks nice and clean in there. Just do it up firm, you're not doing up a wheel nut, so it doesn't have to be that tight. All the new bearings can go in. New main bearings are in, ready for the crank. Now the donor crank that we're going to use has been sitting around for a bit and looks really shit, so we need to degrease that and give it a good clean up. Have a look at that, it's brand new. Make sure you've got some assembly lube. And you want to pop these new bearings onto these main caps. Push those edges down to make sure it's in properly. Bit of lube on there. What number do we have here? Number 1. All right. So we've done those up to 42 foot-pounds. Ready to go.